Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of 5 Lug Racing. With you as always, my name is Don, my partner in crime, Ryan. We are here breaking down everything Iowa Speedway. We're going to look ahead to Watkins Glen a little bit. Of course, I got to shout out our incredible sponsor, KK's Diecast Community. They're on Facebook. He has got another diecast of the week. It is going to be a 2023 Darlington race win, William Byron. All right, that thing is awesome. We'll leave a link down on our description to get you to Facebook to go check that out. It is a silent auction. Throw down a bid, see if you win that thing. Ryan, another wonderful race weekend behind us, but I think you got a little bit of a surprise for us, don't you, bud?
Yeah, I'm going to pull a little trick out of the sleeve here because we wanted to do this episode, but we also wanted to catch up with an old friend from the show. And she has been graciously willing to join us this evening and kind of recap on some of the things that she has going on because she's got some exciting news with stuff in her racing career. So let's go ahead and bring her on. Please join us in welcoming back Jade Avedisian to the show. Jade, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you guys for having me on again.
Thank you so much for being here and taking time out of your night to do the 5 Lug Racing show with us. So, Jade, we're coming off some huge news, and we'll be remiss to not talk about that first. So last week, you dropped the bomb on everybody that you're going to be making your ARCA Series debut. So congratulations to you on that. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. I'm super excited. It's been, a crazy last 7 days for me, honestly, and just trying to slow down and take in, all the moments. These are opportunities of a lifetime I have right now. So, was able to do a Tier 2 debut 2 weekends ago now, and then announced my ARCA debut last weekend, and then had my first super race over this past weekend. So, it's been a crazy week for me, but like I said, just days I've always dreamed of are coming kind of reality right now. So, yeah, excited to make my ARCA debut with Venerini and everyone at Toyota at DuQuoin, and I think it's perfect fit for me. I have a lot of dirt races and a lot of experience on dirt, so yeah, just counting down the days and looking forward to it.
Yeah, Jade, you mentioned that, and I first want to recap because we had you on this in 2024, and it wasn't quite a year ago, but you were a guest of the show then, and we got to tell your story and your background and your dirt racing, and knew that move to asphalt was coming, but we couldn't quite talk about it on the show yet. And your asphalt transition has been super fun to watch. And we're going to talk about that more in a moment. But now you're going back to your roots a little bit with the dirt racing and the ARCA stuff. And I'm super excited for you. How do you think, though, you tore it up in the midget series and the midget scene. How do you think that's going to translate, though, to a stock car?
Yeah, it's really hard to say. Car to car, obviously nothing's really gonna translate. The midgets are so light and have so much power, horsepower, and the ARCA cars are just big tanks realistically. Super heavy and not that much power. So obviously the dirt is the dirt. It's gonna be the same, and I feel like it has probably the same tendencies as the midget races. Obviously probably a little less because the midgets had so much power to blow the top layer off, and of the like racetrack, and get down for it to get really slick and stuff. So it's definitely going to be different. I personally have never been even to watch there the past year, so I really don't know, but I think we're just going to have to kind of roll into it and see how it is, and just make sure I'm very prepared, when that week comes, and I kind of know what to expect. So, yeah, really hard to say, but I don't think anything's really going to translate from the midget at all, just because how much heavier the ARCA cars are. But, like I said, dirt's still dirt, so I'm banking on that.
Yeah, true. And I mean, do you plan on doing any type of sim time for this, whether it be an actual sim or some iRacing to try to get familiar with the track in a stock car that way?
So like yes, we usually would, but there's no sim or the track's not on like iRacing or sim. So
Oh,
it's gonna be a little bit tough. It's gonna be like a real dirt race. Like kind of what I'm used to, just kind of roll into the weekend and just see what we got. So yeah, it's gonna be a little bit different, but we have so many other resources. I have so many teammates that have gone through it and done that race. And then obviously, just the race replays from the past few years that we'll be studying hard to just to get the idea. So we're not walking into the weekend kind of blindsided.
Yeah, and now you're also going to be making your ARCA West Series debut in October. Now that will be on the Bull Ring in Las Vegas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it will be. So yeah, it's gonna be really cool. Obviously, I have a start on dirt and then a start on pavement. So yeah, that one's gonna be just cool to see how I become or how I race and how fast I get up to speed and stuff. But yeah, that one's still kind of far. It's not till October, first week of October, I believe. So plenty of time to make sure I'm prepared for that. So right now, main focus is on, DuQuoin and, the races leading up to that in the late model. But after that, I feel like I'll have, a decent feel about how, the ARCA car feels, rolling into Vegas. So I have an idea. But yeah, I've never been to the racetrack, but I'm not sure if it's on sim or anything. But I have a lot of good people to make sure I'm prepared for that race as well.
Yeah, I believe it. And now, for those who aren't quite familiar with your career, we'll rewind the tape here a little bit because I mean, you just spoke about how the last 7 days have been a little bit of a blur for you. But how about this year so far? I mean, have you really had time to process? Because, we go from your interview with us last year. You're absolutely crushing it in the dirt world, in the midgets, winning races, making history, and then you get to do it all again on asphalt this year, running a lot of late model, pro late model stuff, and you know. Congratulations! I face to face. It's the first time I've gotten to see you since, and you're the first female driver to win in the Cars Tour, and you're winning in the pro late model stuff too. Why don't we talk about that a little bit and how this year has been for you as a whole?
Yeah, it's been great. Just to kind of walk into the year, with a lot of, not knowing, how it's gonna go or, how fast I'm gonna pick it up or, any of that. So it's been, a great year looking back at it. But obviously, I wish I could go redo, the first half of the year. I just feel like I'm, such a better, race car driver, and I've learned so much more from this point of the year since, the start of the year. And I'm sure I'm going to say that at the end of the year. So, yeah, just a ton of learning, but cool to get the car tour win. Obviously, not the exact way we wanted to win. We want to be the first to cross the line, but, we'll just take it, and a win's a win. And then all the other car tour races we've done this year, we've been, really close to winning and, been super competitive every time we kind of roll into the racetrack. So, yeah, over there I have a great team at Donnie Wilson's, and great people over there. So yeah, it's just been fun. It's good to kind of know, sitting here, especially at the first of the year, kind of with no expectations and had no idea. So definitely a good spot right now, but just trying to continue and learn and grow as a person, as a race car driver. Feel like I have so much more potential in myself, and we just got to keep clicking away and staying with the right group of people, and just flat out just me keeping it, or keep learning.
yeah. Real quick, you talk about, not sure of what your expectations were for 2025. What about now that we're in August of 2025? What are your expectations finishing out this year and then looking ahead to next year?
Yeah, next year I'm not sure what I'm racing. So don't really know on that. But right now looking forward to the end of the year. The late model stuff, I feel, very confident, and I have a lot more experience now. So For the most part, I feel like, my expectations are to win, every single night, or, be in the position to win.
Right.
I feel like right now we're always really good during the race, but I can't qualify. So I got to figure out that, and I got to put a lot of, studying and thought into that. And especially, now looking forward, it's going to be very hard to, qualify, mid pack or to the back and race your way up front. The cars are too good, the guys are too good. So we definitely got to, start our night out, a lot better, and make it easier on ourselves and get the track position. But yeah, just kind of looking forward to the rest of the year. And yeah, we just got to kind of keep doing what we're doing.
Oh, I love it. And the best aspect is, y'all have recognized where the weak point is. And once you can capitalize on getting better on that weak point, you mentioned qualifying. Once you start getting that, more used to that aspect of the deal, you're going to be just fine. I can't wait.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it's tough. We've obviously had many tries this year, and hopefully I could say, next month or at the end of the year, I'll finally something clicked and I can, figure it out. But right now it's just we just got to figure it out. I got to, find it within myself and within my team. So just working really hard to, get better at that point. Like you said, that's definitely our weak point, and realistically, that kind of sets up your whole night. So definitely got to get better, from the start of the night, because makes our job a lot easier during the end of the night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Jade, you spoke on the field as a whole in the late model stuff that you're running, and I've heard from so many that is so hard to go. And I mean, you were on the Dale Jr. podcast this year. Talk about your stock rising. By the way, going to that, but I've even heard Dale himself say how hard it is to go get in one of these late models and win these races. And echoing what you had just said about the field, can you talk about the transition from what you were used to and accustomed to in dirt, and then going and doing the late model stuff? What type of change has that been for you?
It's been, a big change, I'd say. I feel like it's kind of hard to pick out, a few points of why it's different. But like I feel like, the competition, like when I was racing midgets or dirt, obviously I was in, the Premier Series, so it was tough. And same with the late model stuff, like the Cars Tour, or even what I ran last weekend, this other Super Series in the Super. Like it's tough. It's the Premier Series, so competition's the same, around the board, obviously way different, race cars and tracks, but I'd say that's kind of the same. So yeah, I don't really know, what I can pick out really that's, different otherwise than like kind of just everything. Everything's just a little bit different, but yeah, the competition now is, and especially in the Cars Tour, is very, very tough. And I mean, you look at late model stock even last weekend at the throwback race, and I think the top 20 were like half a tenth off. So it's tough, and it's even gonna get tougher when I start doing more super races, and especially the ARCA races. Like there's a lot of good guys and a lot of good teams and stuff. So you just gotta really be perfect and execute from start to finish.
Yeah, well said. And I want to speak about what you did last week. So you scored your first career Trans Am podium. You finished second at Portland. Unreal. I mean, you talk about transplanting and all to these different types of cars, but you're getting the job done. I mean, you Denny Hamlin said it best this past week. We're in a losing sport, right? And if you can win 5% of the time, you're a Hall of Famer. So, you getting these podium finishes, these track experience, the seat time that you need to learn these cars. I mean, well done to you. I mean, it can't be easy what you're doing, especially jumping out of, something you were so comfortable in dirt, and now going in, to the pavement world and road courses and ovals and just I'm just so impressed, and it's so awesome to watch the maturation of Jade, and before our eyes. We talked about this a little bit last year, and I don't know if it's really truly digested for you how quickly you got to this point. But the ARCA, getting to go into the ARCA racing and make that next step is going to be so fun for us, to watch for you. And I'm sure you're going to have an absolute blast as well. Like I said, you've been doing it. You've been getting the job done. Just breathe, do your thing, and, the rest will come into play. But I do want to ask you one more question regarding the oval, running these oval races in asphalt. We hear so much about dirty air, right? And at the highest level of these sports, how big has it been for you to get to experience how the air can manipulate your vehicle on asphalt versus what you're so used to, coming from the dirt ranks?
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to say. I don't feel like the late models have, much aero change, when you're behind someone or in dirty air. Like, I feel like, the bigger tracks and late model stuff, like, you might get half a number or number tight, behind them, but, it's super, super manageable. And you can even just, stick your left headlight out or even your right headlight in the center of the corner and, still have so much turn. So, it's kind of hard to learn the aero stuff, and the late model stuff just because we don't really have to deal with it. But if you look at the trucks, Xfinity, or even obviously Cup these days, like the aero and the dirty air is, so important. And, I just hope to get to that level, which I hopefully I can, and, and learn that part of it. It's definitely going to be, a lot of learning and that part of the sport, but yeah, for right now, we don't really have to deal with much aero or dirty air.
Great. And, that has to make it a little bit easier on you as you're continuing to learn and develop your skills, especially on the asphalt. But I'm sure getting to experience that is something you might see at the bull ring in October. So, exciting and whatever lies in between, but exciting stuff. And we're so, so happy for you, proud of you. And, just glad that, you're getting to live out your dream and, you know, everybody else is starting to see, the potential of you as well. And it's so great to see you get that recognition. Like I said, being on the Dale Jr. download, what was that like?
Yeah, it was really cool. Obviously, it's three of us girls, but still to be a part of it and get recognition from those type of people in our sport is huge. So yeah, super cool day for me, super cool hour for me, and yeah, I was pretty excited to go on that podcast for sure.
Now you're in North Carolina. You're living in North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Like that's where you based yourself out of now, so you can focus on the asphalt, the pro late model stuff. Being there, you're in NASCAR's backyard. Have you had time to get away from your own racing and go experience some of the NASCAR races this year?
Not really, honestly. I think I've been to maybe one. But honestly, if I'm either racing or, going, at the beginning of the year, I used to go a lot with the late model team, when the supers race, just so I can, soak it all in and make myself better in the late model stuff. So, I was pretty busy, doing that. And, even this month I race every single weekend till DuQuoin. So, yeah, super excited for this month, but yeah, just trying to kind of stay in my own lane and build my craft to the best it can be.
Student of the game, gotta love it, gotta respect it too. That's awesome stuff. Well, so you got a lot of great things coming up, and like I said, we can't wait to get you back here to talk about your ARCA stuff. Once you get the chance to do it, but we had some racing this past weekend out in Iowa, and we need to talk about that a little bit. And I thank you for being, a guest analyst this week as well. So these NASCAR cars were out there running a track that seemingly they couldn't get into. The biggest thing that, we can take from this past weekend, Don and I were talking pre-show, was that these cars just could not get into the track. And it was just evident throughout practice, qualifying, and even the race itself. And then, of course, we had a lot of strategy actually have to play into it because of how these cautions came with the, needing fuel. Will these guys have enough to get to the finish? Congratulations, William Byron and the 24 Hendrick Motorsports camp. They do save enough fuel to get their second checkered flag of the season. And pretty exciting for them as they regain, a hold on the regular season points lead and get more playoff points. Don, we saw a lot of craziness happen here at Iowa as far as these cars getting into the track. Maybe we could ask Jade a little bit about that. Maybe you've experienced this, in your own level, where these cars just seemingly were floating on the track and the bumps and everything just upset them every which way. Have you been in and experienced that yourself? And can you relate to what they were maybe experiencing?
It's kind of hard to say. I'd say like the closest thing for us to the late model stuff is like heat of the day when you practice or qualify. Heat of the day, obviously, the track temp is, super, super hot. Way hotter than it is to race. And, it's hard to get, feeling like you're in the racetrack and, feel like you have a really good race car because, obviously the track temp is so hot that, nothing is feeling well, right? Or when it's like that. So, I'd say that's kind of the closest thing. I didn't really get to watch the cup race too much. I was spending time with my family, but, I saw like during qualifying and practice and, a few people have wrecked and, I assume that's kind of, why, they were wrecked. Like I saw Kyle's and, he just got really free and obviously kind of overcorrected into the wall. So, yeah, I'm sure that was part of it because they were practicing heat of the day. So, yeah, I'm sure it was just kind of heat of the day moment and, not having much grip.
Yeah, she brings up a lot of great points, Ryan, and the fact of last year Iowa, they finished at nighttime, so the track had an opportunity to transition into a cooler setting, which I think the cars responded much better to. This year, the whole thing in all sunlight, right? So the track is slick already, on top of the tires not taking to the asphalt well at all. And so what we continued to hear over the scanners and the radios all weekend was the cars chattering, the tires are chattering. They will not grip this racetrack for whatever reason. The banking with the size of the turns, whatever it is that these cars were not able to grab the racetrack the way that they normally would at some of these. It really affected a lot of these guys' days. We saw comers and goers. We saw guys get super strong, and then we saw them fall off a cliff. It was bonkers the way this track transitioned during the daylight. And yeah, as far as quality of racing, I was entertained because of how much the cars were changing and getting faster and guys slowing down and watching guys battle through the field. That was a ton of fun. It did get a little frustrating when you saw like the leader get ahead and then he couldn't even really pass like lap traffic. That seemed really odd to me, but it's just a product of what it is. It's a product of the race car. It's a product of the temperature of the day. The racetrack, take everything combined, and that's the product we got. Overall, I was pretty entertained with it.
Yeah, I agree. And, you speak of those comers and goers, last week's winner, Brickyard 400 champion Bubba Wallace, he went from 2 laps down after seemingly almost what looked like ruined his day. Unfortunate with John Hunter Nemechek kind of having that same issue with the chatter, misjudging his line into the corner, comes out of the turn, gets into Bubba's left rear, sends Bubba into the wall. Right rear toe link bent, and then a caution happens to come out like a lap or so later to where Bubba's like, hey, I'm coming to you, let's get this thing fixed, but goes 2 laps down. The cautions that just kept coming out at the end of the race allowed Bubba to get his lap back. He went from 32nd, 33rd to a 6th place finish. Impressive stuff. Riding some momentum. They had a strong race car. Meanwhile, you hear his teammate in the 45, Tyler Reddick, saying, I'm wrecking loose the entire race. He just couldn't seem to get a handle on it. And that was just the story of Iowa.
Yeah.
It was just, that's the polar opposites in a nutshell. And that's coming from the same Toyota camp, let alone garage.
Right.
It's kind of wild. Before we go on to Watkins Glen coming up this week, I just wanted to mention the Toyota camp got a little bit stronger this week. We had a major breaking news mix up. Jade, I'm not sure if you caught wind of this or not yet, but Caden Honeycutt and Nice Motorsports parted ways today. They made the announcement, I should say, today. We had heard about this over the weekend. Story was developing, and we kind of just waited a little bit until we had all of our I's dotted, T's crossed. But Caden Honeycutt, Nice Motorsports part ways. Caden was doing this to go to a new OEM. And we do hear that it's Toyota. So the Toyota family gets stronger. That's pretty exciting. And I don't know if your paths have crossed ways in the late model stuff. Caden's excellent in these late models. He won the Snowball Derby, so he knows his way around the track in a late model. Have you had a chance to race against him?
Yeah, I actually raced against him at Wilkesboro, I believe, earlier this year. But yeah, great, aspect to, being Toyota. Obviously, he's kind of, he's young, he's really good. He's won the Derby, which is, a huge check mark and, the late model world and, just kind of in general. So, really cool to, kind of get him over here. And, I feel like, wherever he kind of goes, he's going to do good. He's, in my opinion, really good race car driver. He just kind of needs, the right shot, the right group of people around him, and that'll make his job a lot easier.
Yeah. Caden has a ton of talent. I'm really excited for him, and also excited for the other aspect of it. It helped out our old friend Bailey Curry also.
Right, absolutely. Now, Caden and Bailey had both been on the show prior. Both guys were familiar with. We had a chance to catch up with both of them at separate times at Pocono Raceway, which was really cool. But yeah, Bailey Curry's going to get thrusted into the 45 after the Watkins Glen race weekend, which is an excellent opportunity for Bailey because anytime he's in that 44 this year, he has shown a lot of speed, a lot of potential. It just seemed like the bad luck bug found a way to bite him more often than not when he was running top 5, top 7. The Nice Motorsports stuff is good. And that 45 truck seemed to be the strongest of the bunch. So it'd be quite interesting to see how that translates, especially knowing, Bailey still works on his own stuff a little bit here and there, gets to dabble in both the shop and at the track. And it's really cool to see. I'm excited for both of their opportunities. And quite honestly, I think that this is going to work out well on both camps, with Nice Motorsports and the Caden Honeycutt deal. Unfortunate news with the Stuart Friesen accident we spoke about in last week's show. But with his Toyota truck having a vacancy after Watkins Glen, we know Christopher Bell will be filling in this weekend. It is rumored that Caden will be taking over that ride. That's highly anticipated. So looking forward to that as well. And I think that, with the 52 being locked in the playoffs, and who knows, maybe there's enough time for Caden to go rattle off a win real quick and be a driver playoff, situation too. It's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But going to Watkins Glen, so we mentioned some of that road racing this weekend. Jade, you just did some of that yourself. Watkins Glen is an extremely fast road course. The fastest one on the NASCAR circuit, and it's an interesting one at that too, because of the speed that you carry with, especially how that, what we would call the front stretch, right? Where the start finish line is, how much speed you carry coming down that hill, going into turn 1. One of the most hairiest turns in a road course I've ever seen. I've seen some wild wrecks. I think back to Jimmy Johnson's Xfinity days where he had a brake failure, just full send. He was in a 92 Excedrin car. I remember it like it was yesterday. And when I had the chance to speak to Jimmy about that, he said, yeah, it's definitely one of the wildest moments that he had ever had and one of the hardest hits he'd ever had. So you never wish that on anybody, but like Watkins Glen is an interesting course, but we're going into a road course that is filled with a lot of question marks. We're 3 races out of the playoffs. We got 3 unique opportunities for drivers. We got a road course, a short track, and a super speedway. So buckle up because it's about to get wild. 3 unique opportunities for these guys to punch a ticket to playoffs. Now, last year, Watkins Glen was a playoff race. This year, it's not. Chris Buescher, the defending race champion, is still not locked into the playoffs. If he could have a good showing here and maybe go back to back, can he punch his ticket in? Can a guy like SVG, who has been absolute dominant on road courses this year, just rattled off 3 of them, can he get a 4th? Or can a newcomer like Connor Zilisch get it done? Because he will be in the Cup race, and now he's running all 3. The trucks, the Xfinity, and the Cup experience for Zilisch this weekend. It's going to be quite interesting stuff, Don. I know I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you are as well. As far as Watkins Glen's concerned, Jade, have you ever been up to Watkins Glen?
No, I haven't actually. I've never, obviously raced there or watched there, so I've never been there.
Yeah, it's a really, really fun place. And I was fortunate enough to be there last year, planning on heading back up this Sunday. And it's such a unique drive into a track. I can't explain it because it's like you're in the middle of the woods or just like country, with farms and fields all everywhere. And then on your left, all of a sudden is a racetrack. And it's like, it's such a unique drive into the place, but it's a beautiful facility. And like I said, carries so much speed, so much fun. I'm just really looking forward to it. I hope you get the chance not only to see a race there, but to drive one soon. I know the ARCA Series is going to be there on Friday as well. So hopefully next year, if all goes well, you might be there as well on ARCA Friday. But
speaking into existence for, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the goal. Hopefully,
she already knows how to get it done, so we'll speak it into existence for her.
Exactly. But we got the ARCA Series, we got the trucks, we've got a full slate of racing at Watkins Glen this weekend. Trucks had a little bit of time off. Of course, we had this drama kind of develop over the weekend into today. Having that story go. With all these different, substitute drivers and seats changing places. But as we look into the weekend as a whole, it is one of those wild card races. And, whether it be in the trucks, the Xfinity Series, or the Cup Series, I'm sure it's going to be absolute madness and, things just going not necessarily how you plan. Connor Zilisch has got to be a hands-on favorite in both the truck series. Now, I will say Christopher Bell's there. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out because those 2 substitute drivers automatically become favorites, in my opinion.
Right.
Guys that we're going to have to watch. Now the Tricon truck of Corey Heim has been bad fast everywhere they've gone. I know he'll be in the mix as well. And then, we fast forward to Saturday, the Xfinity Series, we got more Connor Zilisch. His road course racing is just absolutely out of this world. It's been quite fun to watch. And then, Sunday, can Shane do it again? Can Connor, get in the mix? Can one of these Cup guys who's vying for a playoff spot go punch their ticket? What do you think, Don?
Watkins Glen is going to be absolute madness. We know that guys' opportunities rise up a little bit more. Christopher Buescher, for example, winning this race last year. And I remember hearing him, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but he was like, just a little bit too late. Why couldn't we get this win a few weeks earlier so that we could get into the playoffs and be in this position? So look for Christopher Buescher to take full advantage of this weekend, y'all. RFK is still trying to just figure out how to get over the hump of getting a win. We saw Brad Keselowski here at Iowa show a ton of speed. Ryan Preece as well, a great finish. Christopher Buescher, my dark horse from last week, just not as good as I had hoped. I expect that to be a night and day difference. Him and SVG probably battling this thing out here in the final stage of Watkins Glen. I'm looking forward to it all across the board. Of course, you mentioned Connor and Christopher Bell. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think I'd have to give the nod to Christopher Bell in that sense because of his truck experience compared to Connor Zilisch. So, as far as that goes, look for Christopher Bell to be making some noise in the Truck Series this weekend. But absolutely, it's got to be the Connor show on Saturday, right? Ryan, you were there in person for it last year. You got to see this kid in his Xfinity debut go out there and just wipe the floor with the entire field. I mean, it was crazy to see in real time. You were texting me while it was happening. It was just bonkers what that kid was able to accomplish his first time out. So I'm looking forward to it. I love me some road course racing. It bums me out that we lost two to next season. We did add one in San Diego, but that's okay. This sport's all about evolving and changing and adapting, and that's what we got to do as Ryan was saying earlier, just adapting to the change. So I'm looking forward to it. Of course, man, it's really tough because I know we're going to get to our picks here in a minute, but man, it's tough to pick against SVG on Sunday, isn't it? Like, what else do we do, man?
It is. I mean, he has one cup start here and an average finish of second, because obviously he finished runner up to the 17 car, like you said. Carson Hocevar, somebody who has a really strong outing in his rookie debut here at Watkins Glen, finished third last year. We can't forget about that. And then of course, the guys who have a full slate of start in this next gen car. Chris Buescher, average finish 5.7. Christopher Bell 8.3. Joey Logano 9.3. Larson and Priest tied at 13 with Cindric. Suarez is right there. Reddick at 14. Reddick, a Toyota that absolutely needs a good run this weekend. With Richmond following and then the wild card at Daytona. Reddick lost points this week at Iowa. He only has 120-ish points to the cushion.
He's at 122 now. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, that's a nice cushion, but still you're not locked in. You need good races. Reddick is a road racer, proven he can win races at road races. His first career win was on a road course. His first career win at 2311 was on a road course. It is going to be an absolute wild race out. Jade, you have some road racing experience now. Can you kind of shine some light on maybe what is some of the biggest key things or key components that these drivers can do going into a weekend at a road course?
Yeah, hard to say. Obviously, like the guys you guys were talking are gonna have a lot of pace, and Connor and Corey Heim and Christopher in the truck race are gonna be three guys are gonna be super super tough and probably gonna set the tone for the weekend. So yeah, I don't know. I've never really been to the racetrack or anything, but I'll definitely probably be watching this weekend, especially the Cup race. So yeah, and like you said, SVG on Sunday is going to be hard to beat. I'm sure there's going to be obviously a few other guys in the mix, but his ability on road courses are super super high, and I think having a guy like him, use different I guess tools in his race car, with the heel to toe and all that. I think it's just good for our sport. Makes everyone else a little bit better, and just makes them work a little bit harder and with the outcome of, all the other drivers or, basically I think he's just raising, the bar, in general in the Cup Series right now on road courses, which I think is great. Obviously, if you want to beat him, you got to, beat the best of the best, which I think is great right now.
Well said. And we haven't seen many beat him. I mean, obviously Buescher edged him last year in a Cup car here at Watkins Glen.
SVG mistake. Now Christopher was right there to take advantage of it, but entering the bus stop, SVG catches that inside wall just a speck, gets him squirrely coming out of the bus stop, and Chris Buescher took full advantage, took that win from SVG.
Yeah, and then at the only other guy I've seen beat him flat out, going head to head was Connor Zilisch. So, yep. And I said this off air, and I'll say it on air, Jade. There's some similarities, in my opinion. Maybe not with the road racing stuff yet, but in my opinion, you and Connor Zilisch. I believe, and this is my opinion, that you both are going to change the game. You're both young, up and coming future of the sport we know your opportunity is going to come. It's just a matter of not if, it's when. But, just it's so fun to get to watch, the future, and when the future is now, it gets even more exciting. And it's that time, Don. We got to start talking about our picks. Jade obviously shared a little insight on who's going to have the pace, but, this is the time where we do the Pick'em Spotlight, Jade, and it's time for us to go with our dark horse and our favorite for the week. I'll go ahead and give, we're just going to pick for the cup side of things. And I'm going with my dark horse right now, and he is going to be in all 3 races this weekend. I believe that his first career start on a road course, unfortunately being cut short by an accident, didn't get to display what this kid is capable of. And I believe that the 87 Red Bull car is going to have something to say at the end of the day for these Cup guys. And could he be vying for his first career Cup win this weekend? I say absolutely. Give me Connor Zilisch as my dark horse.
It's a really great pick because we saw what Connor was about to do at COTA, Circuit of the Americas, back at the beginning of the season. That kid was fast. He jumped in that next gen car, seemingly had no issues that we heard of or saw, and then just accidentally get caught up in Daniel Suarez. Looked like Daniel Suarez caught the inside of the curb, messed up the 99 car, got him squirrely, put a bunch of smoke in the air, and then Connor Zilisch smacks right into him, ends his day early. But Connor was marching through that field at COTA, y'all. Do not forget that whatsoever. Ryan, love the dark horse. As far as mine goes, I mentioned him earlier. I've mentioned this team so many times this season on our episodes. And I believe he's in a great position to come in here and snag himself a playoff spot. He currently holds the 16th spot, 23 to the good. But I think he wants a win. I think he wants to get in, not have to think about it for the next 2 weeks at Richmond and Daytona. And it's going to be Christopher Buescher. I think that team is going to utilize everything that they had from last season and put it all into the Watkins Glen bucket, because why not? You won there before, you can do it again. So go ahead and give me that 17 RFK car. I do think that Chris will be the only RFK car in the playoffs, whether it be a win or he gets on points. I think he's going to be the only one representing that camp this postseason.
Yeah, and I can't hate on it. I mean, he's proven he could win here. And now it's time for the favorite. And I don't think our favorite should come to anybody's surprise. And it has been absolutely impossible to pick against this man. I mean, aside from Christopher Bell, a fellow Toyota driver with you, Jade, going out and winning COTA. And I do believe Bell. I believe, okay, I'm going to make this statement real quick before I make my favorite pick. I believe that the Toyota road course stuff has been excellent this year. And if there was another dark horse for me to pick, there's a handful of Toyota drivers that I would actually lock in on, and they come out of the same stable, Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell. Yep. The road course stuff has been absolutely really strong for Toyota. It's been a strength of theirs. Same with the short track stuff. So I'm sure we'll have some things and some kind words for them next week at Richmond as well. But I can't pick against SVG this weekend. It's just so hard to look at this field and go, all right, it's just the smart, low-hanging fruit. And I'm going to pick it because I believe that he has a chip on his shoulder in this race from last year. He did make a mistake that cost him a win. He knows that, and he admitted to it last year. And I believe that he comes back here with a little bit of, vengeance, and riding the hot hand, 3 in a row at road courses. I think he's about to make it 4 and just continue to put his stamp in the NASCAR history book. So yeah, give me Shane van Gisbergen again this weekend.
Yeah. Just everything that you said and much more. It's the SVG show. It's the SVG party, and everybody's just hoping to stand around, and hope for a dance, right? So, give me SVG as my favorite. It's no secret. The guy is incredible. He obviously still has a leg up on everything going on Cup side of road course racing in that series. So yeah, SVG is going to be a great pick. If I had to pick, a top 5, give me Give me some Christopher Bell in there. Give me some. One thing I want to say about Christopher Bell, he seems to be in some sort of mid-season, not slump. I don't want to call it a slump, but it's just something's not.
A lull.
It's a little bit of a lull. Something's not clicking all the way with the team as a whole. We see it on pit road. We see it with some of the calls being made for the 20 crew. Hopefully they can use these next few races. They're solidly in the playoffs. They're probably going to make the round of 12, probably the round of 8 with what they've accumulated throughout the season. But you can't turn it down, guys. Like you have to ramp up. And it just seems like that dial's turned down on that 20 car right now. And they need to kind of find their way out of it because they could be finding themselves in some trouble this first round of the playoffs if they're not careful. That being said, you got your Tyler Reddicks, you got your Kyle Larsons, your Chase Briscoes. All these guys are good, right? They're really, really good at road course racing. Enter SVG, and he makes them look average. So, it is what it is. But I'm going to go ahead and go with that 88 WeatherTech from the Trackhouse Garage and see if he makes us up a little bit of money this weekend.
Yeah. How about it? Now, Jade, I want to say as your career continues to develop and you get into these stock cars more and more, I know you have a really strong camp of drivers that you can lean on for advice. But I mean, is there film available to you to watch how a guy like Connor Zilisch or Shane van Gisbergen masters their craft on these road races to help you hone in your own skill?
Hard to kind of say. Obviously, like there's no in-car videos, minus like NASCAR's cam, but I've seen them on YouTube, whether it was like SVG and Chicago. I think maybe 2 years ago. Just his foot cam, but outside of that, I don't really, I obviously watch the races and try to stay in tune, but obviously I'm not at the same racetracks. Not with the same team and, not kind of a part of it. So, I don't put, a lot of stress into, making sure, I know exactly, kind of what's going on. As crazy as it sounds, like, I feel like I have, a lot going on, just, within what I'm doing right now, with the late model stuff and, obviously my ARCA debuts and, I just gotta, shine there first before I can even, worry about getting in a truck or Xfinity car and obviously, a cup car. So, yes, I use it, as much as my advantage, watching, way better people than I am right now. But, at the same time, it's also kind of hard because, we're not at the same racetracks and, you're just not around, the communication and stuff like that. So, like I said, kind of hard to say, but, within the late model team, I can say, I feel like I have, a great idea of, what's going on. And, we're allowed to have, dartfish and, in-car cameras and stuff like that. So, just a little bit different.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's incredible insight, and that the things that we don't know sometimes are that you help shine a little bit of a light on. But I completely understand your perspective as far as staying focal onto what you're doing while you're trying to make the level ups to get to where they are. So, and again, it's not if, it's when. But just keep doing what you're doing. I can't thank you enough for taking time again out of your night to come back and join us, be part of the Five Lug Racing Show again. And we look forward to catching back up with you, maybe even in the off season as you're prepping for 26. And we could talk about all the fun stuff that you're going to get to do from now until then. But again, thanks, Jade. It's always a pleasure. I hope you have a wonderful night, and best of luck out at DuQuoin. I know you're going to do great things the rest of this year. So, you got a couple fans in the back cheering you on at Five Lug Racing.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me on as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Jade, thank you so much for your time. Another wonderful episode here at Five Lug Racing. Don, your host, Ryan, my co-host, Jade, hanging out with us for a little bit. We appreciate your time. Best of luck to you and everything you're about to experience. And yeah, thank you guys for joining us. We'll catch you on the next one.